Well, the curse has officially been lifted. Welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking Charles Leclerc, finally victorious. Again, finally on the podium for Monaco. Congratulations, as we are going to get into the full list, the full rundown of the Monaco Grand Prix with our winners and losers. A lot to unpack. We'll probably be doing 2 videos between now and Bank Holiday Monday in what is one of the biggest days of motorsport. As I said, we've got Formula 1 Monaco Grand Prix, we have the Touring Car, and we've got the Indy 500, which at the time of recording is starting a couple of hours late due to rain. Imagine that in the UK. Absolutely. But Indianapolis, maybe not so much, but thank goodness it's starting. Anyway, I digress. Let's get into the Monaco Grand Prix. The actual result, well, we had Leclerc winning, Piastri a good 7 seconds behind him, although he was pretty much on Leclerc's buttocks, or at least of his car, through most of the race. Sainz just behind Piastri, and Norris in 4th, Russell in 5th. Fair play to Russell on those medium tyres. Absolutely fantastic, wasn't he? Verstappen in 6th, Hamilton 7th, 8th for Tsunoda, 9th Albon, 10th Gasly, Alonso disappointing 11th, Ricciardo 12th, yeah, not great, Bottas 13th. He actually overtook somebody on track, didn't he? Sargent 14th, Zhou 16th, and then, well, the absolute mess that was Ocon. And then the absolute big mess that was Perez, Hulkenberg, and Magnussen. Whoops-a-daisy. So let's get into our winners and losers. Yeah, so where do we start with our winners and losers? It's not a good look for anyone, is it? Let's start at the back, shall we? And let's talk about a certain Kevin Magnussen. So, I mean, funny enough, he's just whereabouts this car is now on the track. Whoops-a-daisy, Kevin. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we can completely blame Kevin Magnussen, but Kevin and this guy here, Hulkenberg, out in one move. Now, the person least to blame, to be fair, is absolutely Nico Hulkenberg. He did nothing wrong. So Kevin Magnussen, he really got a good start. Passed his teammate, looking to pass Sergio Perez, this guy right here. However, it was Sergio Perez that squeezed Kevin Magnussen. But to be fair to Sergio Perez, it was a Kevin Magnussen that may or may not should have been there. Probably should have seen it coming. Now, at the time of recording, there's going to be no investigation whatsoever. I'm assuming they're kind of like treating it as a racing incident. So with not too much to talk about there. So whether you like it or not, yeah, I think we're going to be talking about this more throughout the week to come. Should there have been a penalty? Well, to be fair, Nico Hulkenberg absolutely innocent in that. These two, maybe not, because you even saw Sergio Perez. I don't know if you watched on the Sky pad. He looked in his mirrors, albeit this was about a second and a half before impact was made, and it all went absolutely. The proverbial poo hit the fan, didn't it? And it went everywhere, and so did the bits of carbon fibre. The interesting thing was, I thought, wow, initially when I was watching it, it was Carlos Sainz that ended up getting the puncture. And I was like, what is going on with the red flag? Carlos Sainz is only part there. And then the camera panned in. The next shot was about a third of a Red Bull and one very much broken ass and another ass as well. And you were just like, and the amount of carbon fibre, it was like someone had spilt a 5 million piece jigsaw all on the road. It was spread everywhere. What a mess. So yeah, but there we go. I don't think Perez can be wholly to blame. However, the one thing you can say about Perez is, had he qualified better? Had Perez qualified better? The big question mark being, would he have put himself in that position? How many times have we seen drivers that potentially shouldn't have been, their top level drivers, going, maybe like mid-grid or etc., and then getting themselves involved in incidents? And then you think, well, had you qualified better, it wouldn't have happened. Fact. And then had Haas not been disqualified with their wing infringement, it wouldn't have happened. Another fact. So there we go. I mean, I'm sure we're going to speak about it more. But let's get on to, if you want to say Magnussen and Perez were potentially villains, particularly Magnussen, This other guy was potentially like a sub-villain, a co-villain, at least to the Alpine team, where the Alpine boss is very, very upset with Esteban Ocon, suggesting there's going to be consequences. What consequences would there be? We yet do not know. But he tried, I think, Portier, so that would be the corner, before going into the tunnel. Try to pass your teammate. I mean, fair enough, if it's somebody else, you can think, okay, bit silly, but try and pass your teammate and ruin both the race. Nearly ruined both their races. So Esteban Ocon, yeah, these were all absolutely people that ended up not finishing whatsoever. But next up, we've got Zhao Guanyu, who did an okay. I mean, Sauber starting pretty much at the back, minus the Haas debacle. Did okay. I mean, once again, not setting the world alight, really. And next up also, you had this guy here, Logan of the Sergeant. Again, I think he's one of the few people that didn't actually have a crash. So from that point of view, I guess if you're Logan Sargent, you could see that as a positive. But, and once again, a very average race for Logan Sargent. But I do think Logan Sargent, given what we expect of him, had a much better race than this guy right here. Okay, Lance Stroll. People are going to think I really, really don't like this guy, and it's somewhat unfair because facts. The fact is that you had the double world champion, one of the best drivers on the grid, who didn't have a very, very good qualifying, helping you out in the race, sacrificing his race, slowing everybody down, so you, Lance Stroll, could get ahead. You, Lance Stroll, could get ahead. Get a pit stop ahead, come out on those new tyres, and absolutely go like the wind and maybe have a chance of scoring a point because you came out in 11th. Did you do that, Lance Stroll? No, you ended up hitting the barrier and getting a puncture, which not too many other people did during the race. Oh, Lance Stroll. Yes, I've said it once, I'll say it again. Until they have a better driver in that seat, it's very difficult to take Aston Martin seriously. Yes, Aston Nepotism Martin, I think it should be their new name. So either Stroll goes away or overnight he becomes an amazing driver. We know he has done amazing driving, albeit not consistently enough. I'm going to be saying the exact same. I'm going to be saying the exact same again and again and again. So, from Lance Stroll to Valtteri Bottas, yeah, not particularly great. Kind of like Zhao Guanyu. Average, if I'm honest. Didn't set the world alight again. I don't really know, other than potentially having the coolest hair. That's kind of about it for poor Bottas. Yeah. So from Valtteri Bottas to this man here again, Daniel, slightly average and disappointing me, Ricciardo, going into Monaco. I thought he was going to be good. Better than Tsunoda. He's going to show us the old Ricciardo. The Ricciardo that won Monaco without a turbo hybrid. The fast Ricciardo. We got the average Ricciardo. The Ricciardo that's a bit better than his McLaren days, but not that much, is the Ricciardo we got. We want the Mexico Ricciardo. The Ricciardo at the Chinese Grand Prix sprint race. Where is he? So, yeah. Lawson looking at that seat, I'd imagine. However, with big rumours suggesting that maybe Ricciardo and Tsunoda are here to stay at RB. Therefore, the seat that Lawson was allegedly promised, not happening. I guess there'll be more on that at some point, won't there? So from Daniel Ricciardo to Fernando Alonso, who had an absolutely no, that is Alex Albon. I can't even spell right. So from Daniel Ricciardo to Fernando Alonso, very average. Yeah, fair play to him. Sacrificed his race for his boss's son, let's say, and it didn't go very well. Whoops-a-daisy, Fernando Alonso. Hopefully we do better in Canada. So, from Fernando Alonso to the man that finished in 10th. And that's this guy here. Pierre Gasly getting a point for Alpine. Well done, Pierre Gasly. The absolute opposite of your teammate Esteban Ocon. Not good at all. Oops-a-daisy, Esteban Ocon. No. But to be fair, he survived Ocon Gate to finish 10th. And some guy I kind of forgot about in qualifying, really. So I owe him an apology. Qualifying 9th, finishing 9th, first points for Williams. Absolutely massive thumbs up. Alex Albon, you were amazing. That, to qualify 9th in that Williams. I do think he outdrove the car there. And James Vowles is soon becoming one of my favourite team bosses as well, particularly the way he explains everything. So, Alex Albon, you absolutely have my respect, as I think the third man of the race. Let's say the other two incoming, but the third man of the race. Definitely. So Yuki Tsunoda, maybe the fourth man of the race, potentially, but he finished 8th, qualified solid, finished 8th, really, really solid job, doing absolutely everything within his power to show Red Bull that he should be the driver and not Sergio Perez. He out-qualified Perez as well. He should be the driver in the Red Bull, and I think you can make a really good argument for it. Either he's a driver at Red Bull, or you take over Lance Stroll at the Honda team. Please. There you go. So from Sergio Perez to a somewhat disappointed Lewis Hamilton. I don't know really what we're going to expect. That's about as good, I think, as Hamilton could have done. I mean, he started where he finished. The only issue being that he said that when he went into the pits, he went into the pits before Max Verstappen, and I believe eased his tyres in. And he said basically, had you told me the outlap was critical, I'd have gone a bit harder. Would he have passed Verstappen? I don't know. But the frustrating thing is the lack of communication in what, let's be fair, is a championship, a multiple championship winning team. It's not good enough. And if that is indeed the case, I think Mercedes have already come out in the news and kind of apologised to him. So, Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes must do better. So next up, we have, somewhat surprisingly, 6th. The worst result of the year where he's finished a race. Max, I finished 6th. Verstappen, not much more he could really do. I mean, he has intimated that, Monaco's not the best racetrack. I guess when you're not winning on the podium, yeah, it is. We've heard it from people before. Drivers that have been winning a lot and then far back on the grid have not been doing particularly good. I do feel for Mr. Verstappen, but I don't think he could have done any more. Pitted did a fantastic in-lap to make sure he came out of Lewis Hamilton. And then put pressure on Russell, but just couldn't get by, despite, having really, really good tyres compared to George. And here we go. King George, I think we can definitely call him today, finishing 5th on those medium tyres. He made it pretty much to the end. Amazing. What an amazing feat. And I think just based on that, yes, Hamilton got the fastest lap. He did a much better job than those two behind him, than Verstappen and Hamilton. Outqualified them, to be fair. Really solid job for George Russell. Absolutely brilliant. So, who is next? Well, finishing 4th after George Russell's 5th. Well, this man, Lando Norris. I still need to fix that. So we've got Lando Norris finishing 4th, about as good as he could have done. There was a point in the race where he was 20 seconds ahead of George Russell for about a lap and a half. Why did McLaren not pit? I don't know. They wanted just to make sure, bag the points. But I thought, come on, McLaren, be a bit inventive. This might give you a chance at a double podium. It didn't happen. For me, a few minus points from McLaren, because I don't think Lando, wouldn't have been able to call that. That was on there. That was on McLaren's pit wall. But they bagged the points. They finished 4th, looking minimum, I think, at the moment to finish 3rd in that championship. So from Lando to 3rd, Carlos Sainz. Carlos, I'm very lucky, Sainz. So at the start, he squeezed Oscar Piastri, but I think Oscar Piastri very brave to continue to go around the outside of Sergio Perez, and this is something I've criticised Lando Norris for. Okay, he didn't get the chance in this race, where he needs the aggression that Oscar Piastri needs, and Oscar Piastri needs the looking after the tyre whispering of Lando Norris, and then you'll have two extremely strong drivers. But yeah, Carlos Sainz, I think, kind of squeezed Oscar a bit, and in my opinion, I guess you could look at it the other way. Oscar kind of did what Magnussen tried to do to Perez, but to be fair, Oscar was way more alongside Carlos Sainz than the Magnussen-Perez incident. So well done, Carlos Sainz, for finishing 3rd. Having said that, you are, in my opinion, the luckiest man in Monaco after that red flag. So from Carlos Sainz to the second man of the race, yes, Oscar Piastri in the McLaren. Absolutely fantastic, my friend. In your second Monaco Grand Prix, you qualified 2nd, you finished 2nd, and you were harassing Leclerc at one point. Didn't quite go for it. Aggressive at that first start. Brilliant. We want to see more of that, Oscar. A really, really solid job. More of the same. So, last but no means least, he has broken the curse Charles Leclerc, well done. You've won Monaco. There were tears. I think there was a really, really awesome shot of a Monegasque firefighter, female firefighter, that had tears in her eyes, which was absolutely lovely. And Charles Leclerc dedicating it to his father, that for obvious reasons was not there, which is really nice. And then they interviewed Arthur Leclerc, that had his younger brother, that had lovely things to say. Yeah, managed the pace really well. Finished 7 seconds. He looked after his tyres. He showed us he can still do it. Japan looking after the tyres was no fluke. Looked after his tyres better than Piastri, and maybe even possibly Sainz and Norris. But I mean, the car was good. He did the job on Saturday, at least half the job, and continued that into the race. Absolutely faultless, if I'm honest. Which is why he won man of the race. Which is also why he's our man of the race. Is Charles Leclerc. Did not put a foot wrong. Absolutely brilliant. So that's pretty much it for our Monaco winners and losers. From Charles Leclerc, a beaming smile, to Esteban Ocon and Kevin Magnussen, not so much. With Esteban Ocon, is he going to need to go down to the job centre? I don't think so. However, I'm sure he has an email with the subject P45 ? At some point from his Alpine boss. This has been the Hot Lap. If you liked it, please give us a subscribe. That would be absolutely amazing. We'll have more Monaco news probably tomorrow, or sometime within the next 24 hours, I'd imagine. And stay tuned for our BTCC review and our IndyCar review. Well, at the time of recording this, I think we're a few minutes away from starting. I digress. We'll speak to you soon. Thank you so much for watching. See you later.